W0TX repeater. PL off.
The Denver Radio Club Net will begin at 8:30. This is K0TR. QSD from the Denver Radio Club. Welcome to the Denver Radio Club Net, being held on repeater W0TX. This is a meeting held on the air every Sunday evening at about 8:30 p.m. Good evening. My name is Jim. My call sign is Kilo Zero Tango Oscar Romeo. I'll be your net control station, transmitting from Littleton, Colorado. If there's any emergency or priority traffic during this net, say break at any pause, and the net will be suspended until the emergency or priority traffic is completed. This net is for Denver Radio Club members and all interested radio amateurs. We're here to share information concerning any ham-related activities. Regular meetings of the Denver Radio Club are held on the third Wednesday of every month at 7 p.m. And with the COVID-19 restrictions, we have virtual meetings. And to attend our virtual meetings, we meet on Google Meets. And if you need an address to attend our virtual meetings, you can get that from our website. That would be at W0TX.org. Or if you're on our mail list, you'll receive that as an email. Our next meeting will be held on November the 17th, and the Elmer session is held at 6 p.m., just prior to our monthly meeting. This session addresses any amateur radio questions that you might have. So whether you're new to amateur radio or interested in some new application of amateur radio, this is a session where you can get help. Also, every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m., except the third Wednesday when our monthly meeting is held, there's a learning net held on 145.490 megahertz and 448.625 megahertz. This is another area where you can find answers for amateur radio related questions. As a general interest club, we provide emergency communication for the Salvation Army, the City of Wheat Ridge Police Department, City of Lakewood Police Department, West Metro Fire District, and St. Anthony's West Hospital. We're always looking for members who would like to participate in this support. Please contact our club president if you'd like to help. Our current president is Jerry Billhauer, W0GB. Jerry's telephone number is 303-467-0223. The Denver Radio Club website address is W0TX.org. Again, Jerry's telephone number is 303-467-0223. The Denver Radio Club also participates in the ARRL Volunteer Examiner Program. But again, for COVID restrictions, we don't have as many test sessions as we've had in the past. But whenever they have some schedule, we try to get the time and date, location out here on this net. And it's always on our website, W0TX.org. And there's other hams that check into our website that belong to other clubs that hold testing. And as a courtesy, they provide that information to us as well. So you might just stay tuned to this net and see whether or not we can get you lined up with a test session. If you have other questions regarding VE testing, you can contact our VE team lead, Tom Koshalski. His call sign is KC2CAG, and his telephone number is 720-284-1911. This is the Denver Radio Club Net, W0TX, and this is K0TR serving as net control. Are there any special announcements or bulletins for the net this evening? If so, please call now. Before regular check-ins, I'd like to welcome and invite any visiting radio amateurs to check into the Denver Radio Club net this evening. During this net, we disable the requirement for the 100 Hz appeal repeater access tone, so you can use either 145.490 megahertz with a minus 600 kilohertz offset, or 448.625 megahertz with a minus 5 megahertz offset. Are they visiting radio amateurs who would like to check into the Denver Radio Club net tonight? If so, please call now. Next, I'd like to welcome and invite any newly licensed or recently upgraded radio amateurs to check in. Please call now. I'll now take regular check-ins in groups. Please let me know if you have traffic when you check in, and I'll get back to you. First, radio amateurs whose call suffix has beginning letters A through E, Alpha through Echo. Please call now.
Kilo 0, Delta Papa Romeo. Call in roar.
Whiskey 0, Bravo Kilo Sierra. Barb in Wheat Ridge.
W0TX Repeater.
Kilo Sierra 0 Echo, Alex in Denver.
Mobile in the Centennial.
Kilo Sierra 0 Echo, Alex in Denver. I think I just doubled.
Whiskey 0, Bravo Kilo Sierra. Barb in Wheat Ridge.
Net Control, I'd like to acknowledge and welcome the following check-ins. K0 DPR Paul, W0 BKS Barb, KS0E Alex, and I had a double, and so So if you called about that same time and you didn't hear your call sign, you could come back again. We make a second call for radio amateurs whose call suffixes begin in letters A through E, Alpha through Echo. Please call now.
Whiskey Bravo 0, Alpha Kilo Victor, WB0 AKV, Rich in Westminster, no traffic.
And 0 GWM, Leon in Lakewood.
KC0CZ, Bob in Thornton.
WD0CIV, WD0CIV, Charles in Denver, no traffic.
Net Control would like to acknowledge and welcome the following check-ins. WB0 AKV Rich, N0 GWM Leon, KC0 CZ Bob, WD0 CIV Charles. Move on down the alphabet and radio amateurs whose call suffixes begin letters F through J, Foxtrot through Juliet. Please call now.
Alpha 0 Juliet Kilo. AA0 JK, Fred in Armada. Good evening, no traffic.
Net Control would like to acknowledge and welcome the following check-in. AA0 JK Fred. Make a second call for radio amateurs whose call suffixes begin letters F through J, Foxtrot through Juliet. Please call now.
Kilo Foxtrot 0, Foxtrot Papa India, Ron in Lakewood, no traffic.
And Net Control would like to acknowledge and welcome the following check-in. KF0 FPI Ron. Move on down the alphabet and radio amateurs whose call suffixes begin letters K through O, Kilo through Oscar. Please call now.
Kilo 0 Lima Papa Romeo Lanier in Inglewood.
Whiskey 0 Lima Foxtrot, Orland and Golden, no traffic, over.
Kilo Echo 0 Alpha Sierra India, Tom Holland West, no traffic.
And Net Control would like to acknowledge and welcome the following check-ins. K0LPR Lanier, WW0LF Orland, KE0OSI Tom. Make a second call for radio amateurs whose call suffixes begin letters K through O, Kilo through Oscar. Please call now. Moving down the alphabet, radio amateurs whose call suffixes begin letters P through T, Papa through Tango, please call now.
Kilo Echo Zero, Romeo Victor Zulu, John in Lakewood, no traffic.
KD0 NRO, Reed in Arvada.
November 0, Tango Romeo Papa, Jim in Lakewood. Good evening.
Kilo Bravo 9er, Quebec Delta Golf, Carl, Lakewood, no traffic.
Net Control would like to acknowledge and welcome the following check-ins. KE0 RVZ John, KD0 NRO Reed, and N0 TRP Jim, and KB9er QDG Carl. Make second call for radio amateurs whose call suffixes begin letters P through T, Papa through Tango. Please call now. Moving down the alphabet, radio amateurs whose call suffixes begin letters U through Z, uniform through Zulu. Please call now.
KF0UV, Marshall in Glendale.
AC0VC, Bill and Elizabeth.
KD0WPQ, Tom and Aurora.
W0TX Repeater.
Kilo 0, Yankee Echo Sierra, Ken in Broomfield.
And at Control, I'd like to acknowledge and welcome the following check-ins. KF0 UV Marshall, AC0 VC Bill, and I had a double, and I'm not sure if I got the call sign right here. Let me see if I can do it phonetically and make sure I've got it right. Alpha Delta 0, Whiskey Papa Tango Tom. Do I get that correct?
It was Kilo Delta 0, Whiskey Papa Quebec, Tom and Aurora.
All right, thanks for that, Tom. Sorry there, but it was pretty garbled, so thanks for the correction. And so if you're trying to check in about that time, I missed your call completely. And lastly, I had K0YES Ken. Make a second call for radio amateurs whose call suffixes begin letters U through Z, uniform through Zulu. Please call now.
Alpha Echo 0, Yankee Romeo, Ed in Arvada, no traffic.
And Net Control, I'd like to acknowledge and welcome the following check-in. A0YER, Ed. And let me open up the entire alphabet. Radio amateurs call suffixes begin letters A through Z, Alpha through Zulu. Please call out.
Kilo Alpha 5, Delta Kilo Sierra, Ken in Arvada.
And Net Control, I'd like to acknowledge and welcome the following check-in. KA5DKS Ken. Be a chance for late check-ins a little bit later in the net. And let's see. Neither club president or club vice president checked in tonight. So I'm not certain at this point in time what the topic of our presentation for the this next month's meeting is going to be. If they sent me an email, I hadn't gotten it yet, so I missed when I went through reviewing emails, but we'll get it for sure this next week. And I don't have any other club business to pass on at this point in time, so I don't see anybody that had indicated they had traffic when they checked in. So this is the Denver Radio Club Net, W0TX, and this is K02R, your net control station. Does anyone have any other comments, information, or business for the net? If so, please call now. All right, do we have any late check-ins? Please call now. All right, I'll go through and review next weekend's contest and upcoming Hamfest, and we'll cover the Hamfest first. First one I have on the docket starts out here the first of next year. That's going to be the Northern Colorado Amateur Radio Club's Winter 2022 Hamfest. That's going to be on Saturday, January the 15th. They say it's Colorado's first Hamfest of the year. We sure hope that's the case. We hope this COVID thing is settled down enough so we can start having some Hamfest. The doors open at 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. Admission this year will be $7. And featuring this year, the great door prizes, free license exam, amateur radio presentations, exhibits and demonstrations, and new and used equipment. And they say the testing will start at 9:30 a.m. Admission fee is not required if you're taking licensing tests. And be sure to bring a copy of your current license. And that's going to be held at the ranch. And trying to see here, I thought I saw something about well, I don't spot it on here. I thought it had something about what building that was in. I have to see if I can pin that down a little bit closer, but they do have directions on here. It's on the 5280 Arena Circle in Loveland, and you take exit 259 off I-25 east on Crosswoods Boulevard, 0.35 miles north on the Fairgrounds quarter of a mile. So I thought they actually indicated what building that was in, but I don't spot it here on this bulletin, so I have to get that and write it down so I can give you a little better directions there. And let's see the second one, and it's a little early on this one. It hasn't officially been released, but this is the tentative information. That's going to be the Adams County Amateur Radio Club's Swap Fest. That's going to be at the Adams County Fairgrounds. That's on 9755 Henderson Road in Brighton. And it's going to be on Sunday, February the 20th. The doors open 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And they don't have an official bulletin for the Hamfest at this point in time. It should be coming out shortly. But still, that's a ways off in February. So we'll keep an eye to that and make sure that we can keep you updated as to when that is going to take place. At this point, they're saying that admission will be $5, and tables are $13 each. In advance, those are 6-foot tables, and tables at the door will sell for $20 if they have any of them left. Just to keep put that on the calendar, and we'll try to keep you advised as that continues on. And let's see what we got here for contests coming up. First one we have on the list will be the Worldwide Sideband Activity Contest. That's going to be November the 2nd. Starts at 0100 hour Zulu, goes through November 2nd until 0159 hour Zulu. That's on 160 through 6 meters. That is a phone contest. Next we have the ARS Spartan Sprint. That begins on November 2nd at 0100 hour Zulu. And that goes until November 2nd until 0300 hour Zulu. That's an 80 through 10 meters. And that's a CW contest. And next we have the YTT Y Ops Week Sprint. That begins on November 2nd at 1700 hour Zulu, goes through November 2nd until 1900 hour Zulu. That's on 80 through 20 meters. That is a digital contest. And next we have the phone weekly test. That begins on November 3rd at 0230 hours Zulu. Goes through November 3rd until 0300 hours Zulu. That's on 160 through 15 meters. That's a phone contest. And we have CW Ops Mini CWT test. Begins on November 3rd at 1300 hours Zulu. Goes through November 3rd until 1400 hours Zulu. That's at 160 through 10 meters. That's a CW contest. And next we have the VHF UHF FT8 activity contest. That begins on November 3rd at 1700 hours Zulu. Goes through November 3rd until 2000 hours Zulu. That's on 2 meters. That is a digital contest. And next we have I thought that looked like a duplicate, but it's a CW Ops Mini CWT test. This one begins on November 3rd at 1900 hours Zulu, goes to November 3rd until 2000 hours Zulu. That's at 160 through 10 meters, and that's also a CW contest. And lastly, we have the UKEICC 80-meter contest. Begins on November 3rd at 2000 hours Zulu, goes to November 3rd until 2100 hours Zulu. That's on 80 meters, and that is a phone contest. A couple other reminders. High Noon Net, they meet daily at 12 noon with early check-ins beginning at 11:30. They meet on a frequency of 7.240 megahertz, which is on the 40-meter band. And the Salvation Army Saturn Net, they meet at 1500 hours Zulu, and that will be 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time with a time change. And they meet Monday through Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on a frequency of 14.325 megahertz, which is on the 20-meter band. The Denver Radio Club maintains the following repeaters for use by all radio amateurs: 147.330 megahertz with a positive offset, the 145.490 megahertz with a negative offset, the 224.380 megahertz with a negative offset, the 449.350 megahertz with a negative offset, the 448.625 megahertz with a negative offset, the 447.825 megahertz with a negative offset, our digital turbo repeater operating on Brandmeister on 446.7875 megahertz with a negative offset, and our C4FM digital repeater on 449.775 megahertz with a negative offset. The 447.825 megahertz repeater is configured for narrowband FM, and that requires a digital coded squelch of 073. There are two repeaters on 147.330 megahertz. The repeater in Lakewood requires a 100 hertz pale tone, and the second repeater located east near Franktown requires a 131.8 hertz pale tone. We have a second repeater on the same frequency out east to improve coverage along the Front Range and into the canyons. However, having two repeaters on the same frequency with each repeater having different frequency propagations, we ask that you monitor the frequency to ensure neither is in use prior to making your call. The 449.350 megahertz repeater provides wide area coverage, and this repeater hosts our Echo Link station, W0TX, node number 4140. And the 448.625 megahertz repeater is linked with the 145.490 megahertz repeater. Each repeater requires a 100 hertz pale tone for activation, except as noted, and each uses standard offsets. And for packet, we have AX25 node on 145.050 megahertz repeater, and we have a 6-meter repeater on 53.09 megahertz with an input on 52.09 megahertz with a required 107.2 hertz pale tone.
N0ETV, late check-in.
N0ETV, Lance, we got you checked in. And stand by a moment here and do a little bookkeeping.
Installed on our Linux operating system.
Your support of the Denver Radio Club is greatly appreciated. If you'd like to participate in any of the many club activities, please contact our club president, Jerry Howard, W0GV. And I'd like to thank everyone for checking into the Denver Radio Club Net tonight. Your support is greatly appreciated. I hope you all have a great week, 7-3. And tonight we have a total of 24 check-ins. And the Denver Radio Club W0TX Net is now closed at 9:02, and repeater is available for regular use. This is K0TR Net Control Station, and please stand by for a moment while I return the pale tone to the repeater.
PL on.
And this is K0TR. I'll be clear. Good night, all.
0ETV to Jim. This is Lance, the late check-in.
Yes, Lance, in 0ETV, we did get you acknowledged. I got you checked in, so you're good to go.
strange. I was in my car way down in Centennial. I could hear the repeater, but evidently the repeater couldn't hear me. It's kind of strange. I was about the same place about a month ago and checked in on a meter repeater. I got a 6-meter mobile in my car too, a quarter-wave whip on the back bumper and a 10-watt transceiver, and I could get into the 6-meter net quite well. So I'm kind of surprised I couldn't get into the 4.9 machine in S.t.e.m.
Well, Lance, we got a good copy on you now, so I'm not sure the repeater's being finicky, I guess, not to let you in earlier. So,
calling from my home station now. I listen to the net, but I just checked in here. So I guess I'm going to clear the air. See you next Sunday in S.t.e.m. clear.
All right, Lance, have a good one. This is K02R, and I'll be cleared, and good night all.
KD0WPQ. I just put a new antenna on the roof a couple days ago. Does anybody have a minute to QSY to 146.52 and give me a signal report?
W0TX repeater.
Station wanting signal report. Say again, this is November 0, Tango Romeo Papa.
KD0WPQ, and I just put a new antenna up a couple days ago, and I was wondering if you could go to 146.52 and see if you can hear me.
K0WPQ and 0TRP. Sure, be happy to. Name here is Jim, and I'll go ahead and QSY now to 14652. Give me just a few seconds here.
Thank you. And KD0WPQ will be QSY to 146.52.
Yeah, same thing. Coming in about S5, scratchy but readable. Well, that may be why it's a little scratchy. I'm over here in Lakewood, just right halfway up the Bear Creek drainage on the north side of the Bear Creek drainage, right about Morrison Road in Kipling.
For the Circuit Python Parsec today, I wanted to talk about controlling a pair of NeoPixel rings from a single microcontroller. So this is a pair of prop goggles that I have, and I have two 16 NeoPixel rings. It's being controlled by a Gemma, which is an M0 based microcontroller, and I have a little LiPo battery tucked inside of there. This code from our good friend ToddBot allows us to do a very succinct bit of code that gives us this nice spinning NeoPixel effect on two separate NeoPixel rings, and you can see they're going in opposite directions. So the key things are we're importing some libraries, board, time, NeoPixel, and random. And then I'm setting up, we're used to setting up a NeoPixel strip. Here we got one called LEDS L for left. And the command there is neopixel.neopixel on board D1. 16 is the number of NeoPixels and a base brightness. Then I have a second one. So this one here, LEDS R, is NeoPixels on, I've said board D2 here, and I've got 16 NeoPixels on that one as well. Then we have a variable called I, which is used to step through each NeoPixel. And we have a value to dim each subsequent NeoPixel. So this is what allows us to have this nice sort of glowing trail. Then we have an I color to start with. And then in the main loop, we actually have a pair of these sort of multi-bracketed. It's like a for loop inside of a for loop. And what this does is it says for the left LEDs, we go from 0 to a maximum of I, which is our starting variable, minus that dimming by amount. And that is inside of this max loop, so we never go lower than 0. So we start at 255, then we're going to subtract 50 from it, subtract 50 from it, subtract 50 from it, till we get to 0. We are also iterating through all of the 16 neopixels in this case, and then we're doing a slight change in the code here. It says J is the length of the neopixel strip minus I minus 1, and that's what allows us to go backwards on that other strip. Iterate through that, change it to whatever the I color is, and then show the neopixels. We then pause for a 1/10 of a second or a 100th of a second and continue on. And so this is how you can control 2 separate neopixels from a single microcontroller inside of CircuitPython. And that is your CircuitPython parsec.
Potentiometer taper